What happens when an unstoppable force meets an unmovable object? To prevent the possible extinction of the human race, the United States Natural Resource Defense Council, also known as NRDC, and NASA have joined forces to stop the biggest threat to the human race, global warming. Now, the problems that rose to cause this reaction. First, the element of the problem is the global temperature rising. The second element of the problem is that ocean levels are rising. The third element of the problem is that we need to switch to an energy source that is clean enough for the environment and efficient or more efficient than current sources. The United Nations advice states that you should look out for yourself as an individual and keep your carbon emissions lowered and your land safer from the heightened risk of natural disasters. Establish a project for you or your country to follow. You should be eating from clean sources, prepared for a natural disaster, and lower your carbon sources as an individual as much as possible. This article uses both ethos and pathos to create a relationship with the reader and explain to them why we need to change and why they should help. What are some benefits that this approach resolves? The world's carbon emissions will be much lower and climate will effectively end. The end the second benefit is that at the end of climate change, it will make the world much more safer and habitable, especially if you live in a third world country which are more affected. Some of the drawbacks for this approach are that it is very expensive for everyone in the world to switch to clean power sources. And the second drawback is that third world countries are suffering to defend themselves as it is from the heightened risk of natural disasters. Approach number two is by the NRDC. The NRDC thinks that we should attack the problem as individuals. This article states that two or three actions should be to have better energy efficiency or to regulate the industries mainly attributing to carbon emissions and sustainability. This approach uses a logo standpoint to show us why we should switch and regulate. There are a lot of cited sources in this article for information explaining their ideology. What are some benefits that this approach gives to us? We are going to have more clean and efficient energy, and we're going to save the world for generations to come and set up a better foundation for them. Some of the drawbacks to this plan is that it's very expensive to make all these changes, and there's going to be more regulation in industrial technology and forestry industries, which would lead to less production and less jobs. Approach number three comes from NASA. This approach is a two-step policy for how we can help stop and control climate change. Two or three sample actions that we can do is to adapt to the changes that are already in place. And the second sample action is to mitigate future damage done to our planet. This value is the ethos because it appeals to us emotionally to be better prepared for the future. Some of the benefits of this plan is that there will be a plan in place ready for large-scale world events such as natural disasters and world climate events, and we're going to set a better foundation for the future improvements to our energy systems. Some of the negatives for this plan would be it is very costly to change all of our power sources to more renewable forms of energy and job displacement due to the loss of jobs in a few sectors such as fossil fuels. In summary, this is a very effective plan to appeal to our audience that we need to change because this is going to have very large and drastic changes on our ecosystem and human life as we know it. Thank you.